Let's get started, y'all. What's up? I decided to add music to this stream. Give us a little background flavor. But I don't want the music to overpower, so hopefully it's not like too loud. Let me know if there's a good balance. Also, I want y'all to let me know if you guys can actually hear the music too. Cause a couple of streams I've been doing, the audio wasn't working right because of what's up, Antriton Navy? The audio wasn't acting right because OBS had went through an update, and nobody told me that the audio was messed up. Like not a single person, not a single person told me, and I'm just like, what? There we go. I'm moving some things around. There we go. But yeah, like nobody told me, not a single person informed me that the audio was acting wonky, and I'm just like, come on, guys. If somebody had told me, I would have been able to, work on it. Because I didn't even realize, and to be fair, every time it goes to an update that happens, I can hear the music good. Can you hear me? And Trey, can you hear me and the music? Like, can you hear both? Because that's what I'm worried about. But yeah, last time nobody said anything during the Marvel Rivals stream, and I'm just like, bro, what? Okay, cool. So we're all set up. Good. All right. So I hope the music isn't too loud. I can hear both too. Good. I hope it isn't too loud because I want to be the main one speaking, obviously. The music is supposed to be like a background deal. But we're here to have a discussion because I watched the Xbox Direct, right? And when I watched the Xbox Direct, it was supposed to be a developer's Direct. But we got the giant Xbox logo on the front, so we all know what's up. I'm mixed. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how to. First of all, they did not advertise this Direct very well at all. I didn't even know this thing happened until KG and Terrell and the others had mentioned it in a chat. They mentioned it and I was like, oh crap, we got a Direct. I didn't even realize it. But then again, it's Xbox. I've never been in like a hyped up mood to go watch an Xbox Direct. Not at all. Usually Xbox Directs are something that just show up while we're watching other Directs. And it's usually because it's either A, during E3, or B, it's, again, it's in the middle of all the other summer gaming Directs. I didn't even know they still did these. Yeah, of course. See, that's the problem. They didn't advertise it at all. Like Microsoft didn't post it on their Twitter page. They didn't post it on the Steam, they didn't even post it on Steam. Normally they do a sale during this time to show off like, hey, we're selling stuff just in time for for a certain Direct. But they didn't do that. They have a sale going on right now, the Steam Real-Time Strategies Fest. But and there's some sales there. I'm not advertising Steam. I'm just telling you all what's happening. But yeah, other than that, they didn't really do anything to let us know stuff's out. It's just like, oh, by the way, this stuff is out. And I'm just like, what? I had to find out at last minute that this stuff was already released. And once I decided to watch it, I only ended up deciding to watch it for real. Because I'm like, you know what? The roundtable needs a topic. Let's go ahead and talk about it. I watch it because it's something gaming to watch. I heard nothing about it. And the reason I say I'm mixed is because when I ended up watching it, it was 52 minutes long, so about an hour. I watch it, and they only showed about 4.5 games. They showed about 4.5 games, each with gameplay, trailers, discussion about the game, and release dates. All good things. Those are good things. Those are things we usually want from most Directs. The last thing we need is a title for a game that's coming out, and then it'll say summer of 2025 or coming soon, and then it moves on to the next trailer with nothing else. Those are the worst trailers. Those are teasers. They suck. Or it's one where they show like a giant cutscene, then it'll be like later this fall or something, or coming, and then they'll just say the year 2025, coming in 2025 or 2026. So it doesn't tell us anything. It doesn't give us anything to really chew off of. It's mostly just like that and then nothing else. Well, this trailer didn't do that. This trailer, these direct trailers showed us gameplay. They broke down the gameplay. They showed us cutscenes. They showed us the ins and outs of it. This is a lot. And granted, it's 4 games, so they had time to like level things out for each game. And I'm gonna be real with you. Only 2 of those game franchises I'm really like in depth with, and I think that makes sense because the other 2 are new IPs. Those games being in order: Ninja Gaiden, which they're releasing Ninja Gaiden 4. Cool, I know the Ninja Gaiden series. I played it a couple of times. They're releasing Ninja Gaiden 4, and the reason I said 4.5 games is because not only are they releasing Ninja Gaiden 4, before Ninja Gaiden 4 comes out, they're releasing Ninja Gaiden 2. I think it's called Ninja Gaiden 2 Dark Blade or something. Long story short, it's Ninja Gaiden 2 remastered, which, fine, that's cool. So we got Ninja Gaiden 4 and 2 coming out. Then after that, we ended up getting a release for a new IP or a new game series known as South of Midnight. It's a very like southern. It's a very southern action combat like game where this girl Molly is like a soul weaver or something like that. And then after that, we ended up getting the 33rd Expedition. Long story short, there's a giant countdown every year, and it goes down, and everybody who lives everyone who lives up to that year basically dies the year after. So essentially, everybody's lives are getting shorter and shorter, and they have to go on an expedition to try to stop this from happening. And then the last one is Doom. We all know what Doom is. This one's called Doom. I think it's Doom Dark Moon or Doom Dark Earth or something like that. Long story short, it's Doom, but they added a lot. They added like a bunch of mechas and fire-breathing machine dragons and a bunch of weapons and just made the world larger and more demonic. Really good job, though. It got to the meat of it. It did what it needed to do. So why are you thinking, Tyrone, this is relatively positive for you in an Xbox Direct? What's the problem? Here's my problem. All of this isn't exclusive to the Xbox at all. Yeah, all of this comes out on Steam. All of this. Like, when you do a Direct, I don't care if it says Developer Direct or whatever. That Xbox logo is on the title. It's right there. This is supposed to convince me to buy your console. I see no reason to buy an Xbox at all. None. Not if I'm on Steam and I can just use my Steam cards and download the game off Steam, which gaming computers usually run better than consoles anyway. So I can just get it for Steam. You're probably thinking, well, you can do that for any game. That's not the point. The fact that I can get it on Steam means that automatically, as a console, there's no reason for me to get an Xbox. And Xbox hasn't been getting much of anything going for it anyway, because again, they have no IPs. These 4 games that came out would have been excellent IPs if they were just on the Xbox. But you know full well they're not going to be just on the Xbox. Ninja Gaiden is more than likely going to wind up not just on Steam, but then later it'll get released to third-party stuff. So it'll be on PlayStation 5 as well. There's no reason it can't be. And then you've got Doom. There's no reason for you to play Doom on Xbox if you can just play it on Steam. And then you've got freaking South of Moon Knight, again, on Steam. You can get that on Steam and Game Pass. And then you've got, what was that other one? Sorry, 33rd Expedition. I'm going to be real with you. Out of all the games, I think South of Moon Knight is the one I'm least interested in. I will say I definitely like the voice acting in it, but everything else I'm just like whatever about. 33rd Expedition, I almost thought I wasn't gonna like. I even like went off to grab my dinner while that trailer was happening. But then I came back and some things started like interesting me, were giving me interest. And it was like first of all, it's turn-based and it's reactional turn-based. In a world where turn-based RPGs are actually dying with the exception of Persona and Dragon Quest, it's good to see that there's a turn that they're using turn-based RPG, and it's interactive turn-based RPG too. So it's like you can parry your opponent's attacks if they hit you, and you click it at the right time. You can click the A button in certain times in order to have your attacks do critical damage instead of regular. I like stuff like that. It keeps you involved while still allowing you to do the turn-based elements. So that's fine. And each of the characters have different like quirks, and then you even end up meeting like this one guy who's kind of goofy, but he has the ability to transform into the monsters you just fought, so long as he has a bit of the monster that you just killed. And all of these are really good ideas. I think the biggest issue is that so focused on graphics, they forgot to give the characters the personalities that they wanted. For example, most of the human characters that are in the game, they look very like stagnant. They look like they're just staring off into the abyss. Even during the characters, so like, for example, whenever I go like to a character menu or like a skill tree, whenever I go to a character skill tree, I want them to do something expressive. I want them to do something that shows off their character. Maybe that's just me, but like, I don't like when I go to a character tree, right? And you're like trying to give a character certain stats or abilities, and you just stare at this. Like, that's boring. That's why I think that's one of the reasons I don't like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's character select screen. Not even just because it's horribly, like, box placed. It's because each of the characters are just looking like this. Like, that's boring. Have them do, like, a cool little pose, like... Or, like... Like, have the characters... It's a video game. Have them have fun with you. Like, if you don't give a damn, I don't give a damn. That's my biggest thing when it comes to skill trees in RPG games. Make the character look like they actually want to be involved. I love those skill trees or even menus where like the main menu shows up and the character's doing like this, looking at the menu, and when you go up, it's like doo doo doo. And then they look up at and it goes down, and you click on it. It's like, all right, let's do this. That's why Persona works so well. Because Persona will do that thing where, like, the doctor, she'll be like, how can I help you? And she'll, like, sit down and, like, the thing, and you click on all the menus. Like, would you like this one? And, like, yeah, like, it's cool. I like stuff like that. I like that Ninja Gaiden had, I ain't got to have an Xbox, though. Again, yeah, that's another thing. Ninja Gaiden, you could just play that on Steam. There's no reason for you to play that at all. Now, Ninja Gaiden was also on Xbox 360 as well, at least Ninja Gaiden 2 was. So, they're going off of that. But at the same time, again, I can play all this stuff on Steam. I will definitely say Xbox has some pretty decent controllers for that specific situation. In fact, where is it? I'm trying to find it right now. I have one. I bought an Xbox controller a while back, and that's only because I worked at a game store, and this thing was on clearance. Oh, it's behind me. This thing was on clearance, and it was $120 something. I ended up buying it for like $12 because they were doing a 90% off clearance sale, and it was insane. So I just got this, like, I'll show you. So I just got this, like, really crisp Razer Xbox controller. That is, has its own charging dock, too. Like, that's beautiful. Like, that's beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Lovely green to dark gradient color. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. I love it. What's up, Orion Sword? Only reason I knew Xbox was having a direct in first place was because of Ninja Gaiden 4 trending. Pretty much. Yeah, and that's a shame because I played the Ninja Gaiden series, not all the games. I think I only played like the first. I think I played like 2 and some of 3. I did not get to play 1. I need to go back and play 1. I need to play all of them realistically. Which I think they remade 1 as well too, so that's good. But yeah, I would definitely look forward to playing these. The problem is you don't have to play any of these on Xbox. And it's a shame because, like, first of all, the Direct wasn't, like, the Direct is an hour long, and they made sure to give 20 minutes. No, not 20 minutes. They gave, I want to say, what, 15 minutes to each game? Yeah, that sounds about right. 15 times 4, 60. So, yeah. Yeah, remember, Tyrone, everything's in Xbox. You ain't got to waste your money on that damn console. Exactly. But, that's Xbox's biggest problem. It's like, you got to ask yourself the question, where did this fall off? Like, when did this happen? Because I wasn't a big fan of Xbox at all. But I do recognize it as a console when it was in the gaming race. And especially now that Nintendo Switch 2 was announced and PlayStation 5's finally getting people to, like, buy it and get it because they actually have a library now, which is crazy. It took them long enough. It only took them about, 4 years to finally get a viable library. Thanks, Sony. But, if you look back into it, when I didn't get an Xbox, like the original Xbox, but I still recognize it as a part of the race for video gaming, only because Xbox did make an impact. It came in strong with, like, great exclusives. I believe it had, like, Psychonauts on there, a lot of Rareware games that ended up transferring over from Nintendo. They still had some decent third-party stuff, and then they even went to the above and beyond with, like, Halo, and they did online gaming. Like, they started online gaming, realistically. Technically, PlayStation 2 had online gaming, but it wasn't that great. Like, it didn't really do much because you had to mostly have dial-up internet. But once that launched, the Xbox definitely made its brand known to the world. Like, it's very clear they cared about the games. Whether or not it was successful or not, it didn't matter because they still cared about what was coming out. Then later on, we moved to what a lot of people argue is the golden era for our Xbox, which is the Xbox 360. Case in point, I even have an Xbox 360. Now, granted, I got an Xbox 360 as a gift. It was a Christmas gift from my grandpa, from my late grandpa. And when he got me this thing, I had no plans on getting an Xbox, so it was a very nice welcome to even have one. And this was when I was really starting to get into buying my own games and to getting into my own games. And I started playing this thing. And when I got the Xbox 360, I had a great time with it. I bought a lot of games. I ended up buying Sonic 06, unfortunately, which that was a whole thing. I ended up playing Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey, Dragon Ball Battle of Z. It was called Battle of Z. Raging Blast 1. Like, I got into a lot of games when I was playing my Xbox 360. Unfortunately, I had also gotten the Red Rings of Death around the time the Xbox 360 came out. And I had to contact Microsoft. And when I contacted Microsoft, they basically told us to, like, mail the game back to them so they can, like, send it back. Essentially, they were swapping out the, they were literally just swapping out the game and then switching out the hard drive on top. It's very obvious that's what they did. They had to basically do a recall. And during that era, though, I was definitely playing the Xbox 360. I was playing Blue Dragon. I was playing Lost Odyssey. I need to go find that game somehow. But these were games I knew were exclusively on Xbox 360, and I had a really great time playing them. I even ended up playing, I believe, Bayonetta I have on the Xbox 360. In fact, I have the Xbox 360, like all the games in my Xbox 360 library are in this right here. And some of them you've already seen me stream before. Like, I ended up streaming Bayonetta on here. Let's see, I got Naruto, Ultimate Ninja Storms Generations. I got Catherine. I got Final Fantasy 13. El Shaddai I've never gotten to. And I feel like that's something I need to stream. I feel like that's something that needs to be streamed. Ninja Blade, if we're talking about ninja games. Ninja Blade was a low-key Ninja Gaiden ripoff, but it was still pretty entertaining. It held its own. You got Devil May Cry 4, a staple. I got Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1. I think that was the last Xbox 360 game I played before we moved on to the next generation. Battle of Z, a game that not a lot of people talk about. I played Sonic Generations when it came out in 2011 on my Xbox 360. This is the exact same copy. I got Raging Blast 1 on here. A friend gave me Soul Calibur 5, which was on Xbox. I'm wondering when the next Soul Calibur is actually coming out. These are Madden and NBA games. I don't even know why I have these. I think these wound up just given to me. Like I said, Bayonetta, Sonic 06. I streamed those on my channel already, so you already know those exist. And then we already streamed Blue Dragon, too. So, yeah, the Xbox 360 definitely had some games worth playing on it. And I think that it knew what it was at the end of the day was a gaming console. Yeah, the bells and whistles they added definitely helped. For example, the wireless controller aspect, which the PS3 did the same thing. And then also the ability to communicate online with the headset, which is something the original Xbox did too. But the 360 did do it really well. Like I can't take that away. They did it really well. I would remember going to my friend's house. He had an Xbox 360 and he played like Halo a lot, and I would join him and we would co-op online and play Halo, and we would be playing Halo the whole time on there. And Halo, I know I wasn't good at Halo, but to me Halo was a really good series to get into in terms of passing time. So I had a really great time with all those things. Like, Xbox knew what it was for, and I think this was that era where Xbox 360 definitely was holding its own with the contenders of, like, say, PlayStation 3, and I believe the Nintendo Wii was out around this point too. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, it did a really good job keeping up with those, only because it knew full well that, like, yeah, we can add these online bells and whistles. We can add apps that let you watch the, like, streaming services and stuff. But at our core, we care about what's important, which was playing video games. And they didn't take that away, and that was the key aspect there. But sadly, that's where things fall apart. Fast forward over to the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Wii U era, and now we're starting to have those problems. The only Xbox game that came to mind are Halo, the card game, so Forza, Dragon Age, and the third-party titles. Yeah, and then they even had the Vault collection, like Portal 1 and Portal 2 were Xbox games. Believe it or not, Cuphead was originally just Xbox. Yeah, Cuphead didn't wind up releasing for other titles until much later, but Cuphead was just Xbox, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, they were just Xbox. They were, I believe, Xbox One around that time. But sadly, here's where things started to fall apart. Around the time Xbox One came out, they cared way too much about relating. Well, first of all, it came out a little bit before that. Before that, we ended up reaching our, I call it our motion era. Yeah, you all, if anybody played video games, you know what the motion era is. The motion era is the dreaded era in which games mostly cared about motion controls. And this was in response to the Wii. The Wii was the first to do it. And because the Wii was the first to do it, PlayStation and Xbox were trying to keep up with it. PlayStation 3 had the PlayStation Move, that freaking thing that looked questionable and had a giant freaking cone ball, had a giant ball on top of it. And nobody cared. No, I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. we don't care. And then after that, the Xbox 360 messed up and came with the Kinect. Oh man. What do I say about the Kinect, bro? Oh my god. Again, trying to keep up with that motion control. And we ended up getting, like, I believe Sonic Free Riders on that nasty thing. We ended up getting Viva Pinata. We ended up getting that Star Wars Kinect game where Yeah, nobody asked for it, but we did get the Han Solo song. I'm riding solo, I'm riding solo, solo. So that was cool. But that was cringe. But it was cringe on purpose. That's fine. But again, those motion detecting was not doing any good because most of the people that were buying games, if you're buying the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation, you didn't care about the motion control stuff. The Nintendo, you cared about motion control, but that's only because Nintendo kind of forced you to care about motion control. You had no choice but to worry about motion control for them because that was Nintendo's main gimmick for that console, was a Wiimote, a motion control Wiimote. The other controllers for Xbox and PlayStation 3, they were just controllers. The Kinect was a thing that was added, and it definitely didn't help that in Xbox One's case, they were trying to keep that going in addition to keeping the camera on at all times. Yeah, they were basically going to be like, if you have the Xbox Kinect or One's Kinect, the Kinect camera is going to stay on the whole time. Well, nobody wants that. They really dropped the ball on that E3 Direct. It was very terrible. Now we understand that Forza is one of Xbox's main and probably only IPs that's standing right now. But unfortunately, Xbox tried to go above and beyond for no reason. And they kept doing stuff that nobody asked for around this era. This was a terrible era for Xbox because they kept trying to add things to the console to make it what we didn't want, which was a gaming box. Just give us a box that plays freaking games on it. Like, that's what you were. That's what you always were. Online connectivity is cool and all, but do we need these other things? They had to show off the Microsoft Glass or whatever the hell it was. It was that thing that essentially let it... So if you were playing, like, an Xbox game, but you had a game on your Microsoft PC, and you wanted to shift it over, you can shift it over like that. Or you can switch it to your smart TV, because this was around the time that smart TVs were really, like, popping and being released. All of that stuff sounds nice until you realize that at the end of the day, most of the people that are watching E3 were watching it to see the video games that are coming out for each of the consoles. Well, it's hard to do that when you're showing off crap that we don't care about. This is especially the case if you weren't into like the tech savvy side. Now granted, thanks to TSS and Terrell and stuff, I've learned more about the tech savvy stuff, which is great. But I'm going to tell you right now, even after that, the general audience doesn't care about the processing powers and the resolution and all the specs. Like, they don't. I hate to break it to you, but they don't. It's important. It's definitely important. I think it's something that could be released in, like, it's not like a treehouse, but like an extra video, or you could put it in your Twitter, like post it on Twitter, or post it as a Microsoft article or something. It definitely didn't need to be something that took up the highlight of the entire Direct. That doesn't make any sense. And thankfully by this Direct, they learned their lesson and talked mostly about the video games. But by this point, it's too little too late. They should have done that a decade ago. Because that's what people care about. Like, when people watch these Directs, they don't want to see you rolling up with an awesome car. Oh my God, this is the newest model car. Yes, I get it. Forza came out. Forza got released, and Forza was going to be released alongside with the Xbox because Forza is an Xbox IP. I get it. But at the same time, all this flash has no substance. Racing games never do that well in E3 Directs because they're racing games. Only the people who specifically like car games are going to care about that. But that's just one slim column in a sea of people that are watching the Direct. So even if you bring the car up to the stage, yeah, whatever. But they showed this thing off and talked about it for well over 15 minutes. That was the issue. Nobody cared. Nobody, even people who liked cars at this point was like, can we move it along? Like, we don't care. We don't care. I need to go ahead and make that a button. But it was just a lot. On top of all of that, they were showing off the controller, which more or less was the exact same thing as it was before. Only this time they had to talk about the specs of that. Then they ended up talking about the processing power. And then they ended up talking about all these people that worked at Microsoft and their lives and working in video game industry and how they started. I'm like, bro, I love y'all for putting in the work, but we don't care, bro. We don't care. We just don't give a damn. We just don't give a damn. They also pushed this horrible business practice of paying to play games online. They lost focus on games trying to be a home entertainment console. Exactly. You only keep your fans if you give them what they want. Fail that, you'll fail, period. Precisely. Yeah, this was also during that Loot Crate era. Yeah, this was during that era also in video gaming where they were really trying to push this, like, if you play this game, then you can only be able to have access to good stuff in this game if you paid extra money. And then on top of all of that, they even tried to sit there and make it so that you couldn't, like, let other people borrow games. And I get it. I know why they did that. They did that as a way to ensure that their product gets bought by each and every individual. But there's only so far you can push that agenda to where it becomes very clear that it's going to be ineffective. And it was very clear that it was going to be ineffective. What they tried to do was essentially make it so that if you wanted to share games between other people, then the other person has to buy the Xbox service and be able to use Xbox Live and install the game from there by doing a purchase. It's like, bro, what? You're hurting yourselves at this point. If somebody borrows the game, that might influence them to want to buy the game if they like the game. There's no harm in other people borrowing their games. They bought the product. They should be able to do whatever they want with it. I get that people can resell, and reselling is technically illegal. But in this particular situation, you went too far the other way. You tried to prevent something so much that you wound up blowing yourself up in the process to the point where PlayStation was like trolling them at this point. I believe in PlayStation 4's Direct, they were just like, yo, we're going to show off how you share games between people. And it was like, step one, give the game to somebody. And then he just gave them, and that was the end. Man, you had PlayStation dog walking you that whole Direct. It was terrible. And Nintendo didn't take any jabs at you. But Nintendo knew what the hell it needed to do. All it did was release Smash information, Smash 4 information, and it basically took the trophy like it always does. Xbox was dying at this point. It was very clear. That was probably, debatably, the worst E3 for Xbox in the history of history. The worst on the planet. The rest of them got better, but that's only because it was such a low bar. There was no way. At this point, Xbox basically was like, nah, we're not going to do all those things we said we were going to do. Oh, yeah? Is it because people thought that was effing stupid to do? Like, Xbox really got dog walked that whole E3. And to be fair, I want to say that was probably the start of how Xbox is dying right now. Because if you don't know, we fast forward up to this point, Xbox is basically dying because, one, the Gamer Pass exists on Microsoft, which means you don't even have to have Steam. You don't have to have an Xbox console at all. If you have Gaming Pass in a viable gaming PC, which most people have, more people have nowadays now than they did back then, because more people know how to do the builds. So now that you got more people with gaming PCs at home, all they got to do is buy the controller, and they realistically don't need an Xbox at all. So Microsoft Game Pass gives them everything. And Microsoft Game Pass seems like a good idea at first, because it's like, oh yeah, you get access to all of these games using our service, and all you got to do is pay, like, I think it's a subscription fee. I got to ask Terrell when we rate a stream later. But all you got to do is pay the Gamer Pass, and then you can play as many games as you want. Great. Now there's no reason to buy Xbox games, though. So you shot yourself in the foot. All those games are on Game Pass. And if they're not on Game Pass, they're definitely on Steam. So you've ruined yourself. All of it is digital now. And granted, that's the direction we're moving. We're starting to get less physical games and we're starting to get more digital ones. That's fine. I'm a collector, so I want physical games. But I understand the direction the future is going. To me, I have a pretty sizable Steam library. But even in my Steam library, the only time I download a game on Steam is if it's a game I really don't care for getting the physical copy of, or they never made a physical copy of. Those are my only two conditions for buying it, or it's to like be weird and have multiple copies of it. Like, for example, I have Sonic Adventure 2 on Steam, but that's because I have Sonic Adventure 2 also on GameCube, right? Pretty soon, Xbox is just going to be an app. And right, that statement is more true than you think it is. That's the wild part. Literally, I wouldn't be surprised if like later in 2025 to 2026, or even 2027, Microsoft just goes out and says, we have a Microsoft app. That's it. It'll be on your phones and you can download it on your Microsoft PC, and that'll be it. And the worst part is that it wouldn't be on Apple, because it can't be on Apple because Microsoft and Apple don't mix. So anybody who owns Mac PCs, you just won't be able to play games, I guess, unless you get Steam. What up? I'm in a train from Tokyo to Osaka. What's up, Gold? Give it up for the editor, Gold Miner, y'all. But that's the thing, like, that's horrible. It's like we're witnessing the death of a console, and we witnessed death of consoles before. We witnessed Sega. We witnessed the Sega Dreamcast die. Well, not just the Sega Dreamcast. We witnessed Sega die as a console company. They still exist. They just exist on the life support of third-party stuff now. But, like, that's the thing. It's very sad to know that Xbox is coming to the end of its life in terms of consoles. Just because the Xbox could have had potential to be great if it decided to stick to its original plan and just be about games. Like, they even were going to do Rareware stuff with, like, Banjo-Kazooie and stuff. They could have had a good thing going. Just went to USJ, beating up all the League of Villains. Nice. They definitely could have had something going for them. But instead, they decided to take this weird, like, route that nobody asked for. And what's worse is even their marketing made things confusing. I work at a game store. I can't tell you how many times people got so confused by Xbox, because Xbox was all like, oh, this is the Xbox. This one's the Xbox 360. This one is the Xbox One. Why would you call a console Xbox One when it already has an original Xbox that came out during that time? So now people are going to be confused, especially when PlayStation did this already by numbering their stuff. PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now people are thinking, who aren't hardcore gamers are coming into the store going, wait a minute, is this the first Xbox that came out? Or is this the Xbox One? Or wait, what's the difference between the Xbox One versus the Xbox? Like the original Xbox that first came out. Microsoft decided to name it Xbox One for some reason. There's no real reason. It's not even like Nintendo's naming thing, where the name has something to do with what the console's doing. This is literally just, we named it Xbox One, because screw you. I don't even know why they named this thing 360 from the era before. But it was fine because Xbox 360, everybody would just say the 360. Okay, that's easy to understand. But then later on, we come out with the Xbox Series, which doesn't make any sense. We're already in a series. The series is the Xbox Series. Xbox, the original, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and now it's Xbox Series. And then what's worse, they ended up making two of these things. Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X. Not only does S and X sound dangerously similar as letters, but most parents and grandparents that come into the stores, they don't know what the difference is. People are saying, I want the new Xbox. What's the new Xbox? Oh, it's the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X. Well, wait a minute. What's the difference between the Series S and the Series X? Are you saying S or are you saying X? Oh, I'm saying S. Okay, well, S means that it doesn't come with a disc. It's all digital. I'm not sure what the S means if you're already saying S because it's series. And then X means that it's got a disc drive. So you can put disc in it. Okay. What's the point of calling it S and X? Are these just cool little letters that you put behind it to make it sound cool? Is the S supposed to be like smaller while the X means external? No, like no clarification for this. And the worst part is that there's no good IPs for it. Like, Halo, I think, officially stopped doing stuff around Xbox One's era. And even then, nobody was into Halo anymore. Not for real. Nobody was talking about Halo. After Halo 3, debatably Halo 4, nobody really wanted and, like, nobody cared. Valve completely, like, outsourced, so they were on Steam. If you want to play Valve games, you would just play them on Steam. People, you want to play Portal 1 and Portal 2? Play it on Steam for much cheaper. You want to play Cuphead? Play it on Steam or Nintendo Switch. Yeah, they merged with Nintendo. So you don't even have to worry about playing it on freaking Xbox anymore. Mass Effect, that's on Steam. No, that's on PlayStation as well too. They lost a lot of their IPs. So at this point, like Gears of War, that they haven't made a Gears of War game in years, so who cares? Who cares? So yeah, so is that a yes for Master Chief for Smash? I guess can't curse. I could care less if Xbox company dies. Oh, I allowed it. Trade, I thought I added that. Yeah, permanent. I could care fucking less if the trash ass fucking company dies. Yeah, I approve that. Anyway, Xbox D's. Why they make Xbox Series S X digital only 1 terabyte? That's like one Call of Duty and it's full. Pretty much. Halo stopped after Reach for me. 5 looked nice, but I never bothered. Yeah, you want to know why? That's because they didn't know like backing for it. Essentially, they did the same thing that they did for most PlayStation's old IPs, where they just don't touch them forever. Xbox made Malasia, but we have no official support at all. We make it, but we can't have it. Yeah, and that, like, to me, that's a shame because it's again, they went through the trouble to sit here and make these things, and they're not, and they squander it by getting too wrapped up in what's not important. And for a while, that was PlayStation's problem too. I would argue that was PlayStation 3's problem and some of PlayStation, and I would debatably say most of PlayStation 4. Oh, that was another thing. They didn't even have the luxury of backwards compatibility. Now, granted, all the consoles weren't doing backwards compatibility except for like the Wii U. The Wii U could play Wii games. So they were fine. But PlayStation 3, they could only play PlayStation 2 games if you bought the old PlayStation 3. But if you bought the current PlayStation 3, the modern one, well, not the current because it's gone now, but if you bought a modern PlayStation 3, you can only play PlayStation 1 games backwards compatibility. But you couldn't play PlayStation 2 games backwards compatibility. Xbox One, you couldn't play those games backwards compatible either. Oh, I'm sorry, Xbox 360. Was it? Yeah, it was Xbox 360. Xbox 360, you couldn't play any, you could play only a few Xbox, regular Xbox games. But for some reason, Xbox is on this weird thing where it's like, it's backwards compatible, conditionally. And I'm going to be real with you. After a certain point, it got so confusing, nobody bothered. Because it's like, oh, can you play this game on Xbox Series? Because Xbox Series is the newest Xbox. But can you play the old games on it? Yes. Kinda. You gotta go on freaking Microsoft's website, find out which games are backwards compatible, hope you memorize that entire vague list, and then pray to God that one of the games you already have is on the list. Who wants to go through that? That's stressful. Nobody wants to go through the stress of that. And the reason they did that was mostly because of branding and because of companies. Certain companies own certain games, So Xbox, unfortunately, if they cut their ties with certain companies, then that means you just can't play that game anymore. You could have that game for your whole life. And like all it took was a company like Discourse, and suddenly you can't play that game on an older console anymore. Then you had to shuffle back and forth and find out which games are backwards compatible for it and hope to God that it was. Not to mention Xbox's biggest problem was its hardware. Even during the Xbox 360, I like the Xbox 360 out of all the Xboxes that have come out, and I'll tell you right now, hardware for that is a bitch and a half. Not even the Red Rings of Death was a problem. Like, yeah, that was the biggest issue that Xbox had, but even if you exclude that, the giant freaking brick that you have, Xbox 360 for some reason decides that its AC cable should be connected to this huge industrial sized brick, this huge brick, which means you gotta carry and lug around this thing all over if you want to do a transfer. Compare that to PlayStation 3, where it's literally just a black cord. It's just a black cord you plug into the wall. That's it. You plug the other side into the PlayStation 3. It's got like two little prongs on it, and you plug it in the back, and that's it. Xbox 360 had this huge plug that was connected to this giant brick that was connected to this giant cable outlet, a cable input that goes in the back of the Xbox 360. Tack that on top of the fact that its the AVI cables were extremely huge too. And then the cords were thick too. And then the controller needed batteries, which they still do to this day. They need 2 AA batteries. Bro, who's running 2 AA batteries in 2025? Motherfucker, I don't have a Game Boy Color, or I want one, but I'm saying that's like the only thing. Most things at the most run on AAA batteries. Your modern tech runs on AAA batteries. Or C batteries. Or those little tiny like disc looking batteries. But nothing really runs on these heavy ass. Bro, that means you had to buy, unless you had an adapter for your Xbox 360 controller, like a charge adapter and everything, you had to buy 2 AA batteries. You had to carry this giant brick around with these huge thick cords. If you had to transfer your game from like your room to the living room, that's like 25 minutes you don't want to deal with. I'm exaggerating about the time, obviously, but it was a lot. It was a lot. And not to mention that if you drop it or move it weird or it goes wrong in any way, that disk drive can mess up. The disk drive was a disaster. Bro, there were times in my old Xbox 360, even after the Red Ring of Death, I would put a game in there. I would try to eject the game, and literally, it would make the noise like it's ejecting, but the disk drive wouldn't open. So I'm over just sitting here looking at it. I had to like hold it. I had to like keep pressing it. I had to grab like a freaking screwdriver, and like when I press the button, I have to like pry it so that it can open on its own. This thing was a mess, bro. And sometimes it would eat your games. You would put the game in the Xbox 360. If you, to an untrained person, if you just turned off the Xbox 360 after say you're playing a game, right? And you're like, okay, I saved the game, I'm done. If you just turn that game off immediately, sometimes you'll get a wah noise. And you'll be like, what is that? And then you open up the disk drive. You take out the disk. There's a giant ring on the disk now. Guess what? The game's unplayable. Yep, that means the game is dead. What you're supposed to do is click on the Xbox menu, go to the Xbox home, close the software, wait for that, then eject the game. And again, granted, that's how you're supposed to do most things. I get it. It's just like ejecting a flash drive properly where you have to click eject, then eject it. You're doing it the right way, which is longer. But to an untrained person who doesn't know that, who knows, oh, just turn the game off and get the game out, that would ruin your game. And there's nothing you can do about it. It is dead. You can't trade it in. And if you do trade it in, it'll be labeled defective, which means more than likely it's not going to be worth much money anyway, or most game stores won't even take it. So it's just a big waste of time. And it definitely hurts if you spent how much the game normally costs, which back in the day was $60.18. So somebody can spend $59.99 on a brand new Xbox 360 game, turn off the Xbox wrong, only to get their game destroyed with no chance of returnability. This was a disaster. And this was the Xbox 360. Granted, they cleaned up some of these problems during Xbox One and Xbox Series, but at this point, it was already a bad impression from the 360, a horrible direct from the Xbox One. By this time, nobody cared about the series. There was only a handful of people that were buying the series. It was because A, they were Microsoft heads already, that were already developed they were already involved into Xbox merch, or B, they just needed a gaming console, and the Xbox Series was a lot easier to get than the PlayStation. And that sadly was the only thing it had going for it during that era. The PlayStation 5 got bought up so much. Upon its release, the PlayStation 5 was sold out for almost a year and a half. Which means the only reason Xboxes were getting sold was because they were just available. Nobody bought one. A bunch of people didn't buy them until they were the only thing left to buy. So it's like, yeah, they won, but at what cost? Yeah, we're gonna buy Xbox stuff, but we're only gonna buy it because I can't get my hands on a PlayStation right now. Essentially making Xbox the second choice. Or I guess the third if you get a Nintendo. And all of this stuff was just bad. Let me look at the comments real quick. Funny how Xbox and PlayStation are struggling so much with cancellations, shifts, and console changes. Meanwhile, Nintendo casually dropped Switch 2 dip and got another $1 million. True way to make Xbox successful. Put a GameCube handlebar on it. Wow. Phil Spencer, we can't wait to work with Nintendo and bring our games. So Phil, what about your own console? Meanwhile, Microsoft's still trying to buy Nintendo and failing. PlayStation and Nintendo systems are hot new things when they drop. Of course they are. And even then, you want to know why? You want to know why that's the case? It's because at the end of the day, even with PlayStation struggling the way it does, it still cares about like the overall important stuff. Like, PlayStation still cares about IPs. You still got, I don't like it, but you still care about, like, you still got the new God of War, which I don't like the new God of War, but they still have it. Spider-Man's successful. Now, granted, you can get Spider-Man on Steam, but still, that's besides the point. Spider-Man's still successful. And even if you can only get Spider-Man on Steam, they advertised it very well on the PlayStation to make people want to get a PlayStation. They bundled it with the PlayStation 5. For most people, if they ended up getting the PlayStation 5, they would also get a copy of Spider-Man 2. Hell, they made a Spider-Man 2 styled customized controller. They went out of their way in order to make sure that there was reasons for you to get a PlayStation 5 along with the IP. Astro Boy, their newest IP, won Game of the Year. What's up, Rescue Squad? It won Game of the Year. Xbox could never. And that's only because they don't care about IPs. They had and which sucks. They used to have like Gears of War, Left 4 Dead, and Left 4 Dead 2. Halo was thriving until now you can get Halo on Steam, which messes it up, and you can also get on the Game Pass. They used to do like all these fun releases. Freaking, what's that one game that came out exclusively for Xbox that I think it was called Starlight? No, Star, I think it was Starlight. It's the game where you can travel from these like billions of planets that nobody cares about. Yeah, that came out. It came out and they made like a customizable Xbox Series X that you can get alongside it, along with a customizable controller and everything, and it tanked. Bro, that game tanked. Nobody cared about it. That's because it was boring. And they didn't even do a good job advertising it. They would mention it very subtly, but the only reason that you would know that that was the case is because you would actually hear it at like a game store promote it. Like if you went to GameStop and they promoted it there or something. But you were never getting, like, you were never hyped for it. And that was one of the big things that they lost, was that they lost that hype. They lost that, like, that spirit of gaming. Like, Psychonauts was, like, such a big thing when the Xbox came out. And they were keeping up with all of that. But then they lost sight of what was important, which was the games. It's really sad that you have to say something so simple. You're a video game company. How's your video games? Well, you know, our processing power is, how's your video games? Well, the resolution that we run on, how is the video game? We got this new car, I'm gonna whoop your ass. How is the video game? Like, they completely lost all identity. And they lost it so fast. And the worst part, they were the new kids on the race. When they first came out, the Sega Dreamcast had died, unfortunately. The PlayStation 2 was out at this point. Nintendo was doing GameCube at this point. Dreamcast, it came out a little too early, so it came out right after the PlayStation 1 and right after the Nintendo 64. So the Dreamcast was hot for all of like less than a year. And then the PlayStation 2 came out, and the PlayStation 2 it came out, and then the Nintendo GameCube it came out. 2000, the year 2001 or 2, it was looking real hot. Sega unfortunately didn't have anything to keep up with the race because both of those games were being released around the same time. So E3 was popping. It was crazy. And this was back when E3 wasn't like heavily placed on like streaming services. It was shown on G4. People were getting real pumped for it. It was crazy. Xbox, unfortunately, like, not Xbox, sorry. PlayStation had blew their load already. So, no, not PlayStation. Sega blew their load already. So, unfortunately, they weren't able to make anything new because the window was too small for them to make another new console after they just made the Dreamcast. And the Dreamcast had only lasted about like a year and a half. It was weird. So, we got to watch a console like fall. And then immediately after, something came within the ashes. It was almost like a reincarnation. It was almost like a resurrection. The Xbox came out. Nobody knew what this was. It was literally just called the Xbox. A box with the freaking letter X on it. And it was like, oh, what is this? And then they showed off all these things. You got to see this like cool looking controller. Which, to be fair, Xbox's controller has looked the same for years now. But you got to see this cool looking controller. Oh my God, it had like a cool little alien theme to it. Where like, it would show a black screen at first, and then it would show like two alien slices, like, and then we'll go, wow. And then there'd be like a little green inside of it that showed like, it's like an alien based thing. And then Halo came out, and oh my God. It was crazy, bro. It was nuts. It was the new kid on the block, bro. I couldn't afford an Xbox, but I was over thinking like, whoa, this thing is cool. Like, I was amazed by it just because it was shiny and new. Now, granted, I was satisfied with my GameCube and my PlayStation 2 at this time, so I wasn't really worried about it. Plus, a couple of my friends had Xboxes, so I would just go over their house to play it. But, bro, it was crazy. Man, when that Xbox dropped, it was nuts. The main menu, the interface, and to top it off, man, the icing on the cake. Person freaking comes on, right? And puts this little headset on his head. And he's like, why do you have a headset? And he clicks it onto the controller. He's like, why does he have a headset? What's the headset do? And he's like, hey guys, what's up? And he's talking to other people. And I'm like, whoa, what? You can play games with other people on the thing and talk to them like you're on the phone? Oh man, it was wild. It was crazy. It was like watching the phone be invented all over again or something. It was nuts. It was technology in its revolutionized form. It was crazy. I don't think, like, and I'm gonna sound real old here. I'm gonna sound real old. I hope this winds up, I hope they grab this footage or something and use it for like a video game documentary one day. I don't think you all understand how crazy it was to literally sit and watch somebody put a headset like this on, play a video game, and start talking to somebody somewhere in the planet who's also playing the video game. That is insane. That was, oh my God. Oh my God. That was revolution in the making, bro. I felt like I was watching the light bulb be invented. This shit was insanity. This shit was insanity. Y'all really had to be there for that. So, bro, I was watching G4 Tech TV at the time. They was doing the E3 video game conference. They showed it on there, and the guy, man, oh my God. Oh my God. It was crazy. That summer was insane. That summer was wild, and we got to witness it. And that's where the Xbox had its glory. It was killing it in the game, bro. And not only were they having online games, they were also having original IPs. They had released like a bunch of, I think there was this one game called Fusion Frenzy, and oh my God. There was just so much. And the moment you started it off, it had the menu. You could play it. Bro, I don't think you realize how playing online was a crazy thing. Like I said, PlayStation 2 technically had online, but PlayStation 2's online was very janky and nobody really used it. It would tell you it has online, but 90% of those games weren't really online. And even if they were online, there's not much you could really like do communication-wise with it. Unless you were just ahead of your time and you had a bunch of money and you could buy all that crap beforehand, whatever. But the Xbox, yeah, internet at this point was still, at the point we were at this point, internet was half and half. A lot of people still had dial-up internet, but there was a lot of people that also had Wi-Fi at this point. Wi-Fi was starting to become a thing, 3G. Like, it wasn't the greatest Wi-Fi sometimes. Lag was happening. It doesn't matter how rich y'all were. It doesn't matter how good you were. Lag was sadly a thing. Internet providers weren't doing their best, all right, at this point. You would still get games that play online, and for the most part, if you and the person you were playing against had strong connections, then yeah, you were fine. But lag still happened. Frame rates dropped, all right? Frames dropped. Don't get it twisted. But it was like discovering fire for the first time, bro. It was crazy. I can't tell you how shocked I was when one of my middle school friends was like, yo, I'm playing Halo. I'm playing Halo with my friends at the house. Come on. I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's inviting me and a couple other people to his house. I'm like, coming to his house. I'm like, yo, dude, where's the friends you were talking about? Oh, no, they on the game. I said, they on the game? What are you talking about? He puts that headset on that I saw was in trial. I was like, oh, you have online? He's like, yeah, I got Xbox Live. It's pretty cool. And then they had co-op in addition to that. So I'm over playing co-op with him on Halo. We got the split screen, which, yeah, I'm old. They had the split screen, and we're playing, and, like, he gives me a headset, too. There's two of these motherfuckers. And I'm listening. No, I didn't get a headset. That's a lie. He had a headset, but his volume worked in a way where you could hear what they were saying on the TV. So we're playing this game, and he's like, yo, man, what it do? Let's start up a match. And then in a very, very terrible microphoned voice, okay, man, we're gonna start this game up. Oh my God, he's responding to the things you say. What on Jesus's planet? What on Jesus' planet is happening right now? Yeah, we got a Star Wars right now with these weak ass motherfuckers. I was like, oh my God. And then they shooting us. They kill one of the guys, and they're like, yeah, man, look at this weak ass motherfucker. I was like, yo, I can hear the guy. He sounded very terrible because, Xbox mic. But yo, it was bananas. I don't think y'all realize. Y'all got it. You had to be there, man. It shook the foundation of the world to really stop and listen to somebody communicate on a video game online with you. And that's what Xbox brought. And I had a lot of respect for Xbox at this point because I'm over here playing Halo and I'm like, I'm having a blast. First-person shooters aren't really my thing, but to sit up here and play with my friend and him and I doing a bunch of matches and he's talking to the guy online and everything, and it was a great way to spend middle school. It was a crazy experience in middle school to just be able to do that. It was an experience. It was revolutionary. It was so great. And now look what we got. Everybody has online now, yeah. Online is something you literally can just have. Hell, you don't even have to have an internet provider. If you buy a phone and have a certain service, you can use it as a hotspot and still get Wi-Fi that's crisper than anything that was back then. But it's still amazing to go back to those roots and see. It's just a shame that unfortunately Xbox stopped caring about what was important. And obviously you knew these things were going to start propping their ugly heads. Because sadly, like PlayStation's online was free. At first, yeah, PlayStation 3 was like, yeah, you can go online for free. We don't care. And then, unfortunately, Xbox 360 charged people for Xbox Online service. Well, because of that, unfortunately, PlayStation was like, we want to make money off of online too. So PlayStation's online wound up costing money too. Nintendo's didn't cost, but Nintendo's wasn't good. But at the same time, you weren't really playing Nintendo for their online. You were playing Nintendo because Nintendo was just straight up fun. Because nobody was playing Wii games online like that, like crazy, unless you were playing Brawl. And even then, Smash Brawl didn't run that well online anyway. You were playing locals if you were playing Brawl. And most people weren't playing Brawl when Brawl came out. They were playing Melee because Melee was the better game and still is. And Smash 4 just sort of exists, unfortunately. But it was a time. What a time to be alive, bro. And now you gotta look back at this Xbox and be like, bro, what happened? How did you fall like this? Why? To me, if I had to say anything about Xbox, Xbox to me is like the ending result of what happens when you fly way too close to the sun. You had something great. You had great potential. You had the world at your feet. And then what did you go do? You got too invested in your what's it called? Your hubris. You got too invested in your hubris. You let your hubris get too big, and as an ending result, you ended up suffering for it. And it's sad to see. Because I collect video games, y'all. Like, I collect this stuff. I love looking at my, like, apartment and knowing, like, I got all these things. I got all these games. I got access to all these video games. And when I get older and get, like, a bigger place, I can have a room with all these cool LED lights and stuff on it that's devoted specifically to all of those things. And then when I retire, I can just play all of them at my leisure whenever I want to. So I would love to have added Xbox to that collection in an alternate reality. But sadly, it's just not in the books. I might do what Terrell did and get like an Xbox Series S. A small digital box that doesn't cost too much. Because then I can at least have access to Game Pass and play some games from that. But even then, it's just like, Why spend all that money knowing full well I can just buy other games on much better things? And that's sad. That's sad to know that's the process. And I hate to say it, PlayStation's in that position too, kinda. PlayStation has some IPs like Stellar Blade that are worth it, but overall, PlayStation, I'm gonna be real with you. I bought the PlayStation 5 like I wanted to, but I bought it very begrudgingly. Like, I have a PlayStation 5, but I have it in a very way. Like, I got it. Like, I wasn't super excited about it. When I got my PlayStation 4, I was a bit excited. I was like, The only reason the PlayStation 3 has a special place in my heart is because that was the first console I bought with my own money. And I mean console, not like portable, like the Nintendo DS or anything. This was the first console where I worked a job. I worked that job all the way through, and then I finally paid money and was able to get it with all that money I made from the job that I worked at. It was a small little summer job that I worked at this summer camp. And then I switched over to working at GameStop for the first time when I was 17. And all that money just went to that PlayStation 3. And it was one of the proudest moments of my life to just own that. Because I bought it. And I felt good about it. Stupid ambulance. So unfortunately, my apartment is by a hospital. So you're going to hear this thing sometimes. And ambulances are my least favorite vehicle on the planet. Because I get it. Someone's injured. But I feel like the lights would do the job. We don't need the sound. If you really have to, maybe honk a horn twice. We don't need the sound. The sound is a lot. Sorry, got sidetracked. Anyway. Yeah. Let me read these comments real quick. Old school G4 was good memories. I want to do a roundtable about G4 at some point. I think G4 technically still exists. It's just, I think it's like a streaming thing now, or an app, probably a YouTube channel. I don't know. I have to check. I don't know, but I would talk about my memories with G4. That's definitely going to be a roundtable. These retrospectives are pretty good. I think that's what I might devote a lot of these roundtables to, is retrospectives. They have such a horrible people working at the company every time that one woman opens her mouth. I'm like, can you just please shut up, woman. I know you're talking about the one that was like, let's fucking do this. Like, ugh. Xbox in the last place, and at the end of the day, that's sad because we only got 3 main gaming manufacturing companies, and Xbox is looking like they're going out the door. They're leaving out just as fast as they came in, and that's the upsetting part. Meanwhile, Nintendo's not going anywhere. Nintendo's a solid wall. And it's just so crazy to think, because it's like, at the end of the day, that's what the understanding is. The understanding is, bro, at the end of the day, people want video games. They don't want all this nonsense. The nonsense is great for like additionals. It's great for convenience, but those should be advertised as secondary. They shouldn't be front and center. That was the biggest fall that Xbox had, was that they sat there and made it front and center. I think in that very same direct, they kept talking about all these shows that were coming out on Microsoft's app, streaming app or whatever. And all these like streaming services that are available on it, and how it's able to basically guarantee you can watch like all these shows. Bro, like, who cares? Who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? It's like, bro, all you had to do was just release some games. All you had to do was give us some trailers. So we look at this developer direct, and I get a little disappointed, because I'm like, bro, if you had just came at the same directs in the past with this energy, you would have been fine. They showed 4 solid games. Granted, I wish they had shown off more. 4 solid games, each 15 minutes long. Gave us the gameplay, all of that. It would have been fine. Nintendo does it all the time. The developers of the game, they speak very little. They'll go, yo, we're coming out with this. We're coming out with this. Please enjoy. Then I'll show the game, they'll show the trailer, they'll show the gameplay, they'll give a release date, they'll move on. We hope you like that game. Here's the next game that's coming out. Please enjoy. If you want to hear how the developers felt when making the game and all of that, you can do that at the Treehouse. The Nintendo Treehouse was literally for like, okay, you're done watching our Direct? Here, watch the Treehouse. The Treehouse gives you everything else afterwards. The developers of the game. We have somebody that does an interview with the developers of the game, so they tell you what they were going through when making it. They tell you like little things that aren't necessarily spoilers for the game, but like little trinkets and fun little things that are witnessed in the footage that you're watching at that time. Nintendo knows how to do it. They knew how to do it. Because they didn't play around. They knew what we wanted. Xbox, unfortunately, wants to finally make a decent Direct, but they did a terrible job marketing it, so nobody knew it existed. And then they didn't even, they didn't push for more. They gave us a decent Direct. It's not even a bad Direct. I like Ninja Gaiden. I'm interested in Expedition 33rd. And I like Doom. I like the Doom series. So good job on those, at least. No offense to South of Midnight, but I don't know enough about it, and just it's not that great. Well, no, I wouldn't say it's not that great. It just seems a little generic right now, at least. It was the weakest out of the 4, but it wasn't weak. But the problem is, like, bro, it's too little, too late to do something like that. And again, I can't even say that I would buy those games on Xbox. I don't have to. I don't need to. I have no reason to buy an Xbox. No reason at all. My Xbox 360, sadly, is the only Xbox I'll even, consider. That's it. I have no visual or mental interest to engage in any other Xbox-related thing, because I have no initiative to. There's no need to. For what? What does it benefit? And it's a shame. It really is a shame to know that that's the case. Nope. It's sad to know that. It's sad to be like, oh, I'll just play it on this. Or, oh, I have Xbox Game Pass on my computer, so I don't need an Xbox. And my computer runs better than the Xbox anyway. And in addition to that, Xbox Series X only starts off with 1 terabyte of memory. Yeah, 1 terabyte. Like somebody in the comment section said earlier, that's one Call of Duty Black Ops game. That's it. That's a Call of Duty Black Ops game with several different updates. When you can just play it on the PC and it runs smoother and uses up less memory. And you have more memory available on your gaming PC. So there's literally no reason. With a better graphics drive, with a better graphics card. Bro, that is sad. That is sad. Xbox has shown themselves to be unreliable and undependable. There are way better systems. I got more mileage out of my Wii. And that's the big lesson that I hope they take from Nintendo, is that no matter the development of everything, yeah, that stuff can be important. And there are tech geeks that do care about that. I'm not here to take that away from them. But at the end of the day, fun is what matters the most. So they need to focus on that. I feel like if Xbox wants a chance to at least stay in the race, what they have to do is get some new IPs. Hell, it's not too late. PlayStation literally made Astro Boy, which is basically the successor to Little Big Planet. It's a Little Big Planet. But yeah, Xbox can, 1, get some new IPs. 2, jump into more of the gaming side, the cartoony side, the hopping in, get some anime. Get some anime. We don't even have to do anime anymore. We've evolved to a point where you can do anime inspired is what they call it. Like, you know how they make like webtoons and stuff? Make video games that are in that like field. Heavily animated, vibrant, colorful, cartoony-esque characters that catch the eye of an audience. You can still do the first-person shooters. You can still do the racing games and the driving games and stuff, but you need to like start giving and do some Xbox exclusives. Like, it's not too late. I mean, it's kind of late, but it's not too late. They just need to start giving me a reason to want to get an Xbox. But at this point, they've gone way too far past that line, and they've shot themselves in the foot for it. And it's a shame. It's a damn shame in order to see something like that happen. Because it's like, it didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this way. But the only reason it is this way is because that hubris. Y'all were on top of the world during the Xbox original and Xbox 360 era. Y'all were killing it. And then y'all just fell flat. Even with the red rings of death and the hardware issues that 360 had, at least y'all had a viable library. Their fan base is too conditioned into realistic OV movie style, Tyrone. They don't get a damn about cartoony aesthetics. And Trade, I would believe you until I sit there and look at the fact that like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and several other games that were for Xbox 360 existed. Bro, there was a bunch of Xbox 360 games that were anime, like that were like in that anime style. Tales of Vesperia was Xbox 360. Was it Xbox 360? I'm gonna fact check that one. I want to tell myself it was. It was Xbox 360 and it was on PS3? Huh. I don't remember it being on PS3. I know a lot of people played that game on Xbox 360, so I didn't think about it at the time. But yeah. Let me see. Dragon Ball Raging Blast was on X, but that was also on PlayStation 3. Dynasty Warriors, Zone of Enders, Blue Dragon. A lot of Atlas games were on there. Huh. Asura's Wrath. Oh yeah, I remember Asura's Wrath. Afro Samurai was on Xbox 360. That's right. I completely forgot about the Afro Samurai game. Afro Samurai was on PS3 and Xbox 360. Huh. But it was on there. Pride comes before the fall. They don't even have their own platformer. That's crazy. At least Sony has some, but again, their fan base is conditioned to shooters. It's just a shame. It's just a shame. It's really sad. It didn't have to be this way. That's the worst part. It didn't have to be this way. It is sad to see it happen. It did not have to be this way, but sadly here we are. It sucks. It really does. Just to see this happen. Because it's like, I just watched this developers direct, and I think the worst part, I think the part that's making me the most upset about the developers direct is that, like, it shows you could have had the potential. Now, granted, a lot of these developers kept talking a lot during the whole thing, but that's always been my turn off on directs. But it was only 4 games. I see why. They had to each eat up 15 minutes of time. I'll let that go. But it just bummed me out because I'm like, bro, you didn't you could have been better. Besides Halo, Xbox had a little identity in its own titles. I'm already saving for the Switch 2. Yeah, you had Halo, you had Cuphead, you had Gears of War, you had Portals 1 and 2. Like, I think you had Half-Life. Yeah, you did have Half-Life. Half-Life 1 and 2. It didn't have you have, well, Forza, but it's Forza. It didn't have to be this way, bro. It didn't have to be this way. It makes me sad. It bums me out. But realistically, I'm beating a dead horse here, and I know that we normally do 2 hours on the stream, but I'm sort of beating a dead horse here. And the direct was only 52 minutes long, so even this discussion is longer than that direct is. So there's not really much else we can do except say, unfortunately, that was a direct. Maybe next time Xbox actually puts in some effort to like be better, or to the very least grow more of an identity. Because as of now, yes, this is an Xbox Developer Direct 2025, but you can rename it the Steam Developer Direct of 2025 and nobody would notice. Xbox at this point is just a name with an association with the color green, but it's not really like doing anything on its own accord. It's just there. It feels soulless, which is sad because honestly, I'd have to owe Xbox. I would have to owe Xbox a thank you at the very beginning for putting an extra layer of soul into video gaming. Like I said, when I talked to you all about that online gaming stuff and the headset with the microphone and all of that, and then the fact that the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Nintendo were all like doing the online thing, it opened up the gate. It helped open up the gates to revolutionize a new generation of gaming, an era of gaming that we owe a lot to. But sadly, that era, and sadly, this setup is basically over. But now that that's all done, I have a Discord. If you want to share your thoughts with me during the Discord, we can keep that conversation going. Make sure you join it. And then you can give me your feedback on that as well if you wanted to continue your thoughts. But yeah, that's it. We're going to go ahead and raid Terrell now because he's playing Mario Luigi Brothership. Xbox has no soul. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing a much longer Visions of Mana stream that day. So to make up for the hours that we lost out in the first Visions of Mana stream. Plus I have no work tomorrow, so I'm going to go ahead and push for a longer stream for that. Thank you guys so much for joining up for this conversation. I think next time I am going to do that G4 talk. If nothing else big happens next week before the roundtable, then I'm definitely going to go ahead and do the G4 discussion, because that'll definitely be interesting. But for now, we're going to go ahead and raid the Insane Game Freak. Thank you all then, everybody. I will see y'all then. Tyrone TG3 out. So let's go ahead and raid the Insane Game Freak.